What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here, talking today about Final Fantasy XVI, because this game is easily my most hyped project in all of 2022. It seems like every bit of the teases, trailers, and little bits of gameplay we've seen, the game looks utterly fantastic. But late last night, we just discovered that the game is receiving a rather large delay. Now, I want to break down the official statement that was released by Square Enix, because I feel like it actually gives us a very interesting look into why this game had to be pushed back, and I feel like it hints that something extra is going on. Also, it seems like some people are confused by what they're trying to convey, so I kind of just wanted to break it down for you guys. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a giant like and subscribe. Alright, so let's just begin with the very obvious truth. This game is going to be great. Whenever Final Fantasy XVI eventually comes out, the game is definitely going to be top-notch. A lot of the people working on this, developers, directors, producers, a lot of these people are some of the best programmers that are actually involved at Square Enix. This is their A team, so it seems like the game itself is going to be incredibly great as a AAA experience, but they decided to push it back for what is probably the best of the game itself. Like, remember the famous words that Shigeru Miyamoto once said, "A delayed game is eventually good, but a rushed game sucks dick." Alright, so let's jump into the statement itself and just check out what specifically is going on. But to begin with, let's talk about Noeki Yoshida. The fact that this guy is writing this statement, he is a guy who's currently the producer of Final Fantasy XVI, but more than that, he is a very, very loved person because he's very, very transparent with when things are going good or bad. He's not afraid to say when they're struggling with different aspects of development, and he's earned a lot of trust inside of the Final Fantasy community because his games are it's just so great. Like, there is a level of polish and love and passion, and I feel like the word passion is overused, but this guy is definitely very, very much infatuated with making the best game possible. So his words carry a lot of weight, but let's take a look what he's saying here. When we last spoke, I promised I would have more information on Final Fantasy XVI sometime later in 2021. However, I regret to inform you that with the ongoing pandemic, we've delayed the game's development by almost half a year. A 6-month development. Oh god, that's a pretty big delay. I'm not gonna lie, this almost makes it sound like it's gonna be a 2023 game, but let's keep reading here. As the latest addition in the Final Fantasy series, being developed for the PlayStation 5, Final Fantasy XVI has amassed a sizable team of effort composed by talented creators from around the world. However, in an effort to offset the effects of the pandemic, we've decentralized that workforce by permitting staff to tackle their assignments from home. This has unfortunately hampered communication from the Tokyo office, which in turn has led to delays, or in extreme cases, cancellation of asset deliveries from our outsourced partners. Now, let me explain this. This is the biggest portion that I feel like people seem to be a bit lost on. There's been a lot of talks about the fact that basically work from home is different for all sorts of developers. Some people are better at it, some people are way worse at it, and it seems like very centrally, when it comes to Japan, Japanese work culture is very visual in nature. It is about seeing your coworkers work. It's about clocking in together. It's about drinking at night. It's about actually spending every day in the trenches of the workplace cohesively. Work from home, from every single person I've talked to, is hitting Japan very, very hard. Now, this is probably as well because this is such a big development team. They don't say any numbers in this, but the fact that they talk about so many people, the word right here, amassed a sizable team, it sounds like there's probably hundreds of developers currently working on this game. And so because of it, obviously, it's difficult to have that many people all over the place communicating just by email or by video call. That is going to slow down the process. But let's keep reading. With that being said, we spent much of 2021 addressing this issue and hope to see its impact to a minimum by the new year, allowing us to better focus on the tasks at hand, increasing the graphic resource quality, refining combat mechanics, fleshing out individual battles, and putting the finishing touches on cutscenes, conducting an overall graphic optimization. Our primary goal now is to be in the hands of the game as fast as possible in order to see it fully polished. Now, this is very, very interesting to me because there was actually an interview a couple months back where they said that the story is completely done. The lines, the audio, the dialogue, like the story is very, very much complete. The idea of the beginning and the ending of Final Fantasy XVI has been in the bag for quite a while. But I'm actually impressed that they're saying that this delay is very purposely to make the game have a higher level of polish. Like the fact that they're saying this is going to make the graphics better, probably the frame rate better because they're talking about optimization, improving the battles. Like this seems like a very, very good delay. Like I feel like more and more we keep seeing these rushed games and games that just come out in such a broken, poor state that gamers, more and more, not only are we accepting of game delays, I feel like we almost get excited for game delays. It sucks that I can't play this right now. It sucks that it's going to be maybe 9 months from when I record this video, but still, it's cool that this game seems to be coming along in such a great fashion. But maybe we're going to be playing it soon. Let me talk about that in a second. Let's finish this off. So that leaves us with the question of when can we expect the next round of information? Well, I'm happy to announce that the current plan is to conduct a big reveal in spring of 2022 as we seek to build up the game's hype before its eventual release. I deeply apologize to all of those who have been looking forward to learning more about Final Fantasy XVI, and thank you for your continued patience while we focus our combined efforts on development. Like, this is such a 10 out of 10 statement. This is transparent. They talk about where things are screwed up. They talk about how this is going to make the game a better project. Like, this is, I mean, this is why people love Naoki Yoshida so much. The guy does not mind explaining where things broke and how directly they're going to fix it. Now, I want to just say something I've heard some people talk about, which is the fact that Final Fantasy 15 sold surprisingly well. Like, Final Fantasy 15 did some pretty decent numbers, and I think that's part of that is because they tried to sell it as a game that's approachable to newcomers and old school fans. But I do think that part of the success of Final Fantasy 16 came down to the fact that it did have big playable demos. There were two primary ones, which were called Episode Duske, and there was another one that was like a weird carbuncle dream sequence, which really gave you a chance to explore, to see this open world version of Final Fantasy, and more than that, it gave you a chance to test out the new combat system. I think that they're probably getting ready to do that. In fact, I've even seen some rumors and stuff talking about the fact that they want some sort of demo before release to try and just basically really pump up those pre-order numbers. I fully believe, and this is just my own personal thoughts, that we might see this re-reveal of the game in spring 2022. I think they could give us a demo at the same time. I'm not expecting something that's gigantic. It's not going to be whole chapters of the game, but a chance to see the combat system for ourselves, to try it out, to pick up the controller and see what these new choices and optimization are going to look like. I think that's a good chance to play the game for 6 months before it comes out. That could really, really pump up the hype levels. Now, I still personally believe, to my fullest extent, that Final Fantasy XVI is coming out in 2022. Probably late in the year. It's going to end up being a holiday release instead of a summer release, but I think that this is still on schedule for the bigger plan of Final Fantasy. Like, take a look at something like this. So Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker just came out, and even if you don't care about expansions or anything like that, it made like so much money. Final Fantasy XIV, extremely profitable for freaking Square Enix. Next, we're going to get Final Fantasy XVI, 2023. We get Final Fantasy VII Remake Remake Part 2, and then 2024, they can reveal the next phase of Final Fantasy XIV. I feel like this is the yin and yang they're trying to balance, which is new project, remake, and also this year there is talks that we could still get something in early 2022 like the Final Fantasy Tactics Remaster. There's a lot of irons in the fire that are going on over at Square Enix that still make me expect that next year, along with just being hype in general, I do think that next year is the best time for Final Fantasy fans. But I guess we're going to find out. Hopefully the Pixel Remaster drops. It's going to be a good time in general. Thanks so much for watching this early morning video. I've been hanging out, enjoying my life, and enjoying my Christmas with a bunch of my friends. I hope you have been as well and got a lot of Christmas gifts, or at least ate a lot of delicious just treats. You guys rock. I love you very much. Thank you for subscribing, and please do me the biggest favor of all. Keep dreaming. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.